It's the 22nd of January 2025. This is a brand new edition of Newsfirst's Primetime News, coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Bringing you the news tonight for the Newsfirst team, I am Bimal Ratnayake.
And I am Rochelle Damodara, and these are your headlines for tonight.
My allegiance lies with the people and not conspiratorial factions, President iterates.
අපි ජනතාවට වග වෙන ජනතාවගේ බැඳීම උපරිම ලෙස ඉටු කිරීම සඳහා ප්‍රයත්න දරන ආණ්ඩුව. ඒ ආණ්ඩුව තමයි ජනතාවගේ ආණ්ඩුව.
Bribery Commission to probe infamous Krish deal once more. Officials inform courts. Mahinda entitled to a home. SLPP lawyers make legislative claim.
දැන් අද මේ වෙනකොට මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ ජනාධිපතිතුමාට විජේරාම ප්‍රදේශයේ නිවාසයක් සම්පාදනය කළා ඉවරයි පහුගිය රජය විසින්. ඉතින් එහෙම නිවාසයක් සම්පාදනය කරායින් පස්සේ මේ දෙවෙනි වගන්තිය වැදගත් වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
What is the law on privileges for former presidents? Cabinet spokesman elaborates.
මාසික විශ්‍රාම වැටුපෙන් 3න් 1කට සමාන මාසික දීමනාවක් ඒ හිටපු ජනාධිපතිවරයාට හෝ හිටපු ජනාධිපතිවරයාගේ වැන්දබුවට හෝ ගෙවිය යුතුයි. මම හිතනවා මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ හිටපු ජනාධිපතිතුමාට මේක තීරුම් ගන්න පුළුවන් ඇති කියලා. මම හිතනවා ඉතින් එතුමාට කරදඩ උස්මහත් වෙච්ච ළමයි 3 දෙනෙක් ඉන්න නිසා තාත්තම්ම බලාගන්න කියලාගෙන හිටලා.
Manusha retracts anticipatory bail application filed to prevent his arrest over Korean visa issue. President intervenes to resolve passport backlog. Tender issued to purchase 500,000 new passports. Who is the SJB supporting, Anil or Mahinda? Government questions. Veteran musician Anil Bharati passes away.
In our top story for tonight, President Kumara emphasized that his allegiance lies with the people, not with conspiratorial allies. He made this clarification during his appearance on the Satana program last night.
අපේ මුළු බැඳීම සහ වගකීම තියෙන ජනතාවට මම ඒක සාතික කරනවා.
Our entire commitment and responsibility lies with the people. I assure you of that. We have no allegiance to any wealthy individuals, foreign states or conspirational allies. Our loyalty is solely to the people. The people have placed their trust in us and given us power, and we are bound by that trust. Therefore, our entire governance is focused on fulfilling our commitment to the people. I challenge anyone to point out a single instance in the past 2 months where we have violated this commitment to the people. There may be things we cannot achieve, but we constantly remind ourselves of the nature of our bond with the people. We have no other aspirations, no wealth, no property. Our only goal is to honor the trust and expectations of the people who long for change. If we ever falter, we must find a way to correct it and move forward. This government will always strive to strengthen our bond with the people. Remember, governments like this have not existed before. Even in 2015, when Maitripala's government was formed against Mahinda, Maitripala still appointed Mahinda as Prime Minister. In 2019, a government was formed against Anil, but Anil was made President. These leaders never told the people about their true intentions. They had no bond with the people. We promise to continuously review and scrutinize our actions over the next 5 years. We will always reflect on where we might have violated the people's trust, where we went wrong, and where we fell short. Our governance will always be accountable to the people, striving to fulfill our commitment to the utmost. Such a government is truly a people's government, one that you have empowered, one that you must protect, and one that you must lead forward. We seek everyone's support for this government.
President Dissanayake clarified the restrictions on benefits for former presidents.
This is not a personal vendetta or an attempt to settle scores. The mandate given to us by the people is clear. Currently, there are 5 former presidents and 1 widow of a former president. I am grateful to Ranil Wickremesinghe, who after leaving office did not take a government house and returned to his own home. Hema Premadas also returned her government house after public scrutiny. We formed a committee led by Kitsiri to investigate this matter. Following the committee's report, Gotabaya Rajapaksa returned his home. However, 3 former presidents still retain their government houses: Chandrika Kumaratunga, Maithripala Sirisena and Mahinda Rajapaksa. I first assessed the value of these houses. The Government Valuation Department estimated that Mahinda Rajapaksa's house in Vijayarama, which sits on an acre and 13 purchases of land, is worth 350 million rupees with a monthly rent of 4.6 million rupees. I witnessed a comment on the President's house. I do not stay there. However, it appears that even after the presidency, the residence is given for the person to use. However, should it also be given for the President's spouse for use? This is not about revenge. We need political ethics. I will put in writing that I do not want a house or security after my retirement. While serving as President, I will use what is necessary, but nothing more. Our country needs such political culture. This is the essence of the people's mandate, and there is no element of personal vendetta here.
ජීවිත කාලෙටත් මේ නිවුස් අපි ලබා දෙන්න ඕන. මම මේ කියන්න හදන්නේ පලි ගැනීම නෙවෙයි. අපිට මොකක් හරි යම් දේශපාලන සදාචාරයක්. මම ලිඛිතව දෙන්න. මට විශ්‍රාම ගියාට පස්සේ නිවස් එපා. මට විශ්‍රාම ගියාට පස්සේ ආරක්ෂාවත්. මම ජනාධිපතිවරයා හෙට වැඩ කරනකොට ඊට අවශ්‍ය යමක් තියෙවි. ඊට අමතර කිසිවක් එපා. මෙහෙම දේශපාලන සංස්කෘතියක් ඕනේ නැද්ද අපේ රට? ඒක තමයි ජනවරමේ හරය. අන්නේ හරය ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීමේ අර කිසිදු පලි ගැනීමේ චේතනාවක් මෙතන නැහැ.
President Anil Kumara Dissanayake emphasized that unresolved crimes, including the murders of journalists and the Easter Sunday attacks, will not be allowed to fade away with time.
මේ අපරාධ කිසිසේත්ම කාලේ වැලිතලාව විසින් යටපත් වෙන්න ඉඩ දෙන්නේ නැහැ.
We will never allow these crimes to be buried by the sands of time. Many officers who were involved in these investigations were transferred. We wanted to bring back those who were knowledgeable about these cases to the Criminal Investigations Department. It takes time to familiarize new officers with these cases. For instance, the murder of Lasantha Wickrematunge occurred on the 8th January 2009, and we are now investigating it in January 2025, 16 years later. The challenge of finding evidence after such a long time is immense, but justice must be served. If the previous murderous government had been replaced, there might have been a small window of opportunity. However, we are committed to continuing these investigations. According to our investigative officers, the Easter Sunday attack investigations are progressing positively. We believe we can soon take legal action over the assault on Keith Noyer. Following that, we can file the case of the assassination of Lasantha Wickrematunge. Investigations into the Wazim Tajuddin murder are still ongoing. As mentioned earlier, we are at a point where statements need to be recorded from several naval officers. The issue is that documents have gone missing to the extent that we cannot even identify who these naval officers are. I know the Criminal Investigations Department conducted an investigation into a house in Kathragama, which belongs to the Irrigation Department. It is a large house with 12 rooms built with the help of military officers. We have the names on the electricity and water bills. The important thing is not just to arrest and remand suspects, but to present indictments and prosecute them. In the past, many were paraded before the media, but we need to ensure justice is served.
එට රිමාන්ඩ් කරා සති දෙකකින් අප ලැබුණා ගෙදර ගියා. ඕක තමයි 2015 වෙනා. නමුත් වැදගත්කම තියෙන්නේ පරීක්ෂණයේ සඳහා ඔවුන් අත්අඩංගුවටගෙන රිමාන්ඩ් කිරීම නෙවෙයි. වැදගත්කම තියෙන්නේ අධිචෝදනා පත්‍රයක් ඉදිරිපත් කරලා නඩු පැවරීම හරහා වරදකරු බවට පත් කරගන්න. දැන් පහුගිය කාලේ ගොඩාක් අය ඒක නිකන් මාධ්‍ය සම්දර්ශනයක් වුණා. කෙනෙක්ට එන්න කියනවා. එයාත් එන්න කියනකොට මෙයා මාධ්‍යත් අරගෙන යනවා. එයා මාධ්‍ය ඉස්සරහ වොයිස් කට් එකක් දෙනවා. නේද? මිනිස්සුත් එකතු වෙලා මතකද 2015 කෑ ගහනවා. අපේ රට රැකගත්තු විරුව අපි ගන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා.
කියන්න බැරිද මේ කවුද කියලා ඇත්තට අනතව දැනගන්න ඕනේ.
ඒක තියෙන්නේ ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂ කියන නමින් තමයි ඒ නිවුස්.
The house in question is registered under the name Gotabaya Rajapaksa. The investigation is ongoing. We do not interfere in these investigations politically. We have given the investigators the freedom to do their job, but we also have a mandate from the people to ensure justice. We will continue to monitor the progress of these investigations closely.
ඒකට යනුව ගත්තාම පරීක්ෂණ තාමත් හොඳ තලයක තියෙනවා.
Sri Lankan President Anil Kumara Dissanayake has emphasized the urgent need to reopen elephant corridors which have been closed despite some claims that this is being done forcefully or against democratic principles. He made these comments on the Satana program last night on Sirasa TV.
Ali ප්‍රශ්නයට නම් ඒ කියන්නේ කෙටි කාලෙම තියෙන්න අපිට විදුලි ආරක්ෂක වැටත් වනජීවීන් දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවට තව නිලධාරීන් බඳවා ගැනීමත්.
For the elephant issue, the short-term solutions include implementing electric fences, recruiting additional officers for the Wildlife Department, and establishing a joint unit of the Civil Security Department and the Wildlife Department to ensure safety. These are the main measures being considered as there are no immediate alternatives. According to the Wildlife Department Act or the Fauna and Flora Protection Ordinance, the primary responsibility of the department is the conservation of animals, not the protection of humans. As per the law, no other officers are permitted to approach wildlife without a wildlife officer present. Even police officers or civil security personnel are required to be accompanied by a wildlife officer when dealing with animals. We have plans to recruit more wildlife officers as part of our budget.
අපි ඒගොල්ලෝ මේ අවුරුද්දේ අපි අයවැයලේකින් බඳවා ගන්න සැලසුම් කරනවා.
දැන් මේ සංචාරක ආකර්ෂණයට මේ අලි ඇතුන්
ඒකෙන්ද ඒ බවුන්ඩරි එක ආරක්ෂා කරගෙන ඉන්නවා තමයි. ඊළඟ අපිට දිගු කාලන වශයෙන් තියෙන ඇත්තටම අපි දැනට විශාල ප්‍රමාණයක් ගත්තොත් අපි අලි මේ කොරිඩෝ
Protecting that boundary is our long-term solution. Elephant corridors have been closed, and while some claim this is being done forcefully or against democratic principles, they should be reopened. Currently, the elephant population is around 8,000, showing an increase. We are still working on finding a solution to the ongoing issues with toad macaques and giant squirrels. There are many proposals and experiments, but we don't have a final scientific solution yet.
විද්‍යාත්මක පිළිතුරක් නැහැ.
මේ විශ්වවිද්‍යාල පද්ධතියට
මට පොඩි විනාඩියක් ඒ වගේ කණ්ඩායම් එකතු කරලා ඒ වගේ කණ්ඩායම් එකතු කරලා අපි පොඩි කමිටුවක් පත් කළා තියෙන කෘෂිකර්ම අමාත්‍යාංශ මේකට විද්‍යාත්මක පිළිතුරක් හොයන්න.
The Ministry of Agriculture has appointed a committee to find scientific solutions. We are receiving many ideas including surgery, but those already present will live for another 20 years. While a new generation may not be created, we cannot kill the current population even if surgery is performed. This problem is a tragedy rooted in the collapse of the environmental chain. Foxes, which once controlled the peacock population by eating their eggs, are now rarely seen. This cycle has collapsed due to unbalanced development and the lack of sustainable practices. Initially, elephants were in the hills, but after the British cleared the central highlands for tea plantations, they moved to the plains in Mindaria. This is an abnormality in our ecosystem caused by unorganized development plans over hundreds of years. Reconservation is a long-term plan, but short-term plans focus on conserving plants and wildlife.
අපේ පරිසර දැන් මධ්‍යකන්තකරේ අලි නැහැනේ දෙන්නේ දැන් ඕටන් තන්නේ අලි නැහැනේ. අපි අහලා තියෙන 108ක ඝාතනය කරා කියලා. ඒකෙන් කියන්නේ මේ පරිසර පද්ධතිය විකෘතිභාවයකට පත් වෙලා තිබෙනවා. ඉතින් මම හිතන්නේ මේක නැවත සංරක්ෂණය කිරීම ටිකක් දිගු කාලන වැඩක්. හැබැයි කෙටි කාලන අපි බවබෝග ආරක්ෂා කරගන්න ජීවිත ආරක්ෂා කරගන්න.
President Anil Dissanayake said that the government is currently focusing on holding the local government election. The president emphasized this on the Satana program on Sirasa TV last night.
ඔබතුමාගේ මැතිවරණ ප්‍රකාශනයේ තිබිච්ච කාරණේ විධායක බලතල සහිත ජනාධිපති දුරේ අවසන් කරනවා කියන කාරණේ. ව්‍යවස්ථා සංශෝධනයකුත් එක්ක කොහොමද ඒ ගමන?
Our current focus is on the local government elections. Following that, we will turn our attention to pursuing constitutional amendments. It is important to first recognize that the primary challenge won't be the agreement on abolishing the executive presidency, but rather the changes required in the election system if the executive presidency is abolished. The real issue will arise not from eliminating the executive presidency itself, but from the necessary reforms to the election system.
The special episode of Satana with President Anil Dissanayake. Log on to Newsfirst Sri Lanka's official YouTube channel to watch the full episode.
The case filed over the alleged misappropriation of 70 million rupees in leasing out 4.3 acres of Krish Transwork Square was taken up before the Colombo Fort Magistrates Court today. National organizer of the Sri Lanka Podujana Perumana parliamentarian Namal Rajapaksa, who has also been named as a suspect in the case, was also present in open court. Presenting facts to court, the investigating officers informed court that a separate investigation into the involvement of parliamentarian Namal Rajapaksa in the alleged corruption is being carried out by the Bribery Commission. Port Magistrate Nidupuli Lankapura refixed the matter to be called up again on the 4th of July for the Attorney General's advice.
හිටපු ජනාධිපති මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහත්මයා එතුමාට දැන් යන්න වෙලා ලියුම එනකන් ඉන්නවා පැහැදිලිවම ව්‍යවස්ථානුකූලව කැබිනට් අනුමැතියක්
It is an official residence that has been provided to the former president with cabinet approval under the provision of the constitution. That house has been provided based on the security needs. If he has to leave that house, the government can seek cabinet approval and inform him in writing about it. The government said that they will give judicial powers to the village, but that cannot be done. Similar to that, if the government is thinking that they can take the law into their own hands and violate the constitution, I don't believe that it would be appropriate.
Sri Lanka Podujana Perumna Lawyers Association convened a media briefing today and emphasized the need to provide facilities for the former president.
1986 අංක 4 දරන ජනාධිපති වරයන්ගේ හිමිකම් පනත සෑම හිටපු ජනාධිපති වරයෙකුටම සහ
President's Entitlements Act number 4 of 1986 mentions every former president as well as the widow of any former president shall be entitled to a residence suitable for their use, provided free of rent for the duration of their lifetime. The second section of that says, in the event that a suitable residence is not provided for a former president or the widow of a former president for any reason, a monthly allowance equal to 1/3 of the pension payable to the individual shall be provided. This allowance is intended to support the arrangement of a suitable house. However, if such an arrangement is not feasible, the allowance should be still paid. In the case of President Mahinda Rajapaksa, the previous government has already arranged a residence for him in Vijayarama. Therefore, once this residence is ready, the provisions of this second clause will no longer be applicable, as it would only have been relevant if no housing had been provided at the time of initial arrangement.
දෙවැනි වගන්තිය වැදගත් වෙන්නේ පළවෙනි අවස්ථාවේදී නිවාසයක් සම්පාදනය කරන්න යන අවස්ථාවේදී නිවසක් තිබ්බේ නැත්තම්.
Cabinet spokesperson Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayadisa commented on this matter today.
This is the President's Entitlements Act. The act was passed by Parliament in 1986, at which time Mahinda Rajapaksa, who was a member of Parliament, was not present. The act was implemented by the President of Sri Lanka at the time. According to the act, in cases where suitable accommodation is not provided for the former President or their family, a monthly allowance equivalent to 1/3 of the former President's pension must be paid. This is stated in the law. I believe former President Mahinda Rajapaksa would understand this provision. There is nothing more to be said on this matter. Regarding the term suitable, the Act does not state that a house valued at 46 million rupees should be provided. The determination of what constitutes a suitable residence is not made by the family but by the government, taking into consideration the country's economic situation and other relevant factors. It is necessary to assess all aspects before deciding on the type of residence to be provided. Based on this, the government should provide a residence within its financial capacity. If that is not feasible, I believe, considering the challenges of raising 3 children, the former president's family can manage accordingly.
Former Minister Manusha Nanayakara today withdrew the anticipatory bail application involving the E8 visa system filed before the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court.
Former Minister Manusha Nanayakara's lawyer told court that his client had provided a 5-hour statement to the Criminal Investigation Department the previous day. He said that the CID had determined there was no need for the former minister's arrest, and as such the anticipatory bail application was no longer necessary. The lawyer requested the court's permission to withdraw the application. Chief Magistrate Tanuja Lakmali approved the request and withdrawal. Sarath Munasinghe, president of the Association of Those Who Were Left Helpless after travelling overseas for employment, visited the Criminal Investigation Department with several others and filed a complaint against former Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment Manusha Nanayakara.
I came to the police headquarters and the Criminal Investigation Department today to complain about a fraud amounting to around 260 million rupees that was committed by RV Manpower Company in Maharagama. This has been ongoing for 2 years and there are 371 victims. People living in areas such as Ampara and Mahyanganaya are struggling without basic needs like clothing. They have mortgaged everything in order to go abroad. These individuals went abroad to bring dollars to the country, but now they have ended up on the streets. We have filed complaints about this everywhere for the past 2 years, but no one has taken any steps. We constantly told Minister Manushananakara to apprehend these criminals before they flee by imposing a travel ban and trapping them before they escape, but he did not take any action.
The group later handed over a letter to the President's office. The bail application filed on behalf of Immigration and Immigration Controller Harsha Ilukpitia has been fixed for consideration on the 27th of January by the Supreme Court. Harsha Ilukpitia was presented before the Supreme Court by prison officials. His lawyers made a formal request for bail during the proceedings. A 3-judge bench ordered that the bail application be taken up for consideration on the 27th of January. The case stems from an interim order issued by the Supreme Court on the 2nd of August 2024, which halted the previous cabinet decision to grant e-visa services to 2 foreign companies. It is alleged that Ilukpitia deliberately failed to enforce the court's order. As a result, petitioners have asked the court to take appropriate legal action against him. Ilukpitia was remanded on the 25th of September 2024. Minister of Public Security and Parliamentary Affairs Ananda Vijaypala revealed today that steps have been taken to resolve the issue related to passports.
පාස්පෝර්ට් එක තිබුණේ N series එකේ පාස්පෝර්ට් එකක් තමයි මුලින් තිබුණේ අවුරුදු 22ක් 23ක් තිබිලා තියෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ පහුගිය අවුරුද්දේ මේක P series එකට.
The N series passport has been in use for 22 to 23 years. Last year it was changed to the P series. A tender was called for the passport and the contract was awarded. However, the second bidder challenged the tender award in the Court of Appeal, leading to legal proceedings. As a result, it became impossible to proceed with the passport at the originally proposed number of 5 million and the process was stalled. This is where the problem arose. The previous cabinet decided to acquire around 750,000 new machine-readable passports from the same supplier. This passport is currently being used. The President conducted a thorough study of the matter. I believe the President's intervention has been crucial in resolving this issue. A committee of experts has been appointed by the Cabinet. The case regarding the 5 million passports is still stuck in court. Following that, changing to another version of the passport is not an option, as this would require repeated compliance with international laws at border points, which could impact the country. Maintaining quality is essential. We have now decided to reissue the passports, printing 5 million new ones and calling for a new tender. Next week, we will place advertisements in newspapers to announce the new tender and to ensure the printing of the 5 million passports to address the backlog effectively.
පාස්පෝර්ට් ලක්ෂ 5ක් මුද්‍රණය කළ මේ තියෙන හිඟය පියමන් කරන්න කටයුතු කරන්න සූදානම් කරලා තියෙනවා.
News First with the people. News First, main sponsor.
International Edu Expo with Advocate on the 1st and 2nd February. Call us to register.
The 2-day debate in Parliament on the Clean Sri Lanka initiative concluded this afternoon. This is what Minister Bimal Ratnayake had to say.
සජබේ දැන් මෙදාසල රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්මයා සමග එකතු වෙන්න සාකච්ඡා කරා. දැන් මේ අපරාධකාරී මේ රට විනාශ කරපු
SJB is currently discussing to join with Ranil Wickremesinghe. What are these discussions with Ranil's regime who destroyed the country? What does it mean if you are supporting Clean Sri Lanka here while having discussions there? If we get all your speeches, they are contrasting to each other. The main mansions in Sri Lanka are used by Rajapaksas even today. Swastha, a parliament-owned property, is currently only guarded by presidential security officers. Additionally, many of the major mansions in Colombo are still under security of Rajapaksa's personnel. Carpets worth 450 million rupees was brought by Yoshida Rajapaksa's SMSs. With the house destroyed that way, we have made a very smart request. Either pay the rent of 4.1 million rupees for the house, or you can take 30,000 rupees and leave. Who is taking care of our parents? A few who are here told me that Rajapaksas should be sent away from their house. Once from SJB, not true SLPPers here, most of them were sent from Parliament. The main opposition is standing with Rajapaksa's holding discussions with Anil while supporting clean Sri Lanka. You will have to remain as the opposition forever. This political fraud, do you really think the people can't see through it? A moral force has been established and no one can play games anymore, not even us. Even those of us who strive to maintain ethical standards had to resign from the speaker's position because we couldn't present the required certificates. Do you really think the people will approve of this politics where you stand with both Anil and the Rajapaksas while claiming to remove them from their homes? No. Sorry, SJB needs to clearly state who they are supporting, Anil, Mahinda Rajapaksa or the people.
සජබේ කියන්න ඕන කාටද සහාය දෙන්නේ? රනිල්ටද, මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂටද, නැත්නම් ජනතාවට?
Minister of Foreign Affairs Vijith said that the island nation aims to resolve land and other issues with regard to the Chinese state energy giant Sinopec as soon as possible. He expressed these views at a media briefing held in Colombo today.
Minister, how soon are you all hoping to break ground on the Sinopec refinery? And also, if I may ask a follow-up question, Sri Lanka has also agreed to have a fuel pipeline with India, right? And a feasibility study was already conducted under the previous administration. So how is Sri Lanka hoping to balance these two elements? Could you please give us some details on that?
Yes, we have not signed such an agreement with India. The discussions are going on. When we visited India, both countries agreed to continue conversations furthermore. That's only. There is no any agreement regarding pipeline.
Minister, but how soon will you break ground, Minister, on the Sinopec refinery? Once the bottlenecks are ironed out, you said within a month you hope to have the land and other issues resolved. Then how soon do you think you all will take to break ground on the project?
As soon as possible. We are willing to continue a fast-track development program.
Minister, was there any discussion related to China-Sri Lanka FTA because it has been suspended since 2018?
Yeah.
Was there any MOU signed on FTA?
Both countries agreed to form a working group to discuss about China-Sri Lanka trade agreement.
Also on the research, the research, foreign researchers, you said there is a committee appointed under you, led by you. Who are the members of that committee? And also,
the cabinet has taken to appoint such a committee under my leadership, but we have not nominated who are the members of that committee yet.
Yeah, under the current SOP, do you have to get the approval from India or inform India if there is a foreign vessel coming to Sri Lanka because of the Indo-Lanka Pact 1987?
No, there is no such a requirement.
So you don't have to?
We can publish that SOP, there is no such clause.
Minister, I have two questions. One is, have you sort of decided how many hectares of land would be given to this oil refinery and how many years lease? Because earlier we were told that it's about 500
acres.
And how many years leasing?
I can't remember the exact years. If we go through the MOU, we can say it.
Also, regarding...
They are asking for another 200 acres.
Another 200 acres?
Yeah. But we have not finalized it yet.
Also,
a 60 million rupee community hall in Velangolavatta, Kurunegala sits abandoned 8 years after its completion. This is tonight's edition of What Happened to the Village.
What happened to the village?
A 60 million rupee community hall in Velangolavatta, Kurunegala was completed 8 years ago. It was meant to serve nearby villages like Velangolavatta, Yantampalava and Sundarapula, but it is still unused.
දැන් රජයේ කාර්යාලයක් උනත් මෙතන පවත්වාගෙන යන්න පුළුවන් තත්ත්වයක් තියෙනවා මේ බදු ගෙවලා මේ කුලී පදනම මතනේ රජයේ කාර්යාලවලට ස්ථාන මිලදී ගන්න.
මේ මහනගර සභා සීමාව තුල ජීවත් වෙන නගරයේ ජනතාවගෙන් බදු මුදල් අරගෙන මේ ඉදිකරන ගොඩනැගිලි වල් වැදිලා විනාශ වෙලා සම්පූර්ණව උඩුකාරයින්ගේ රජදහනක් වෙලා තියෙනවා. මේකේ ජලය විදුලිය හැමදේම තියෙනවා.
Isn't this a clear failure? Why can't this be cleaned up and put to use? It is time to act before this project becomes another wasted opportunity.
What happened to the village?
How would you feel if every drop of rain brought not relief but a struggle for survival? This is a story from Ampara.
இங்கே மழை பெஞ்சா சாப்பாட்டுக்கெல்லாம் ரொம்ப கஷ்டமாக இருக்குது. நாங்கள் ஒரு கூலி தொழில் செஞ்சு சாப்பிட்றோம். அதுவும் கூட வழி இல்லாமல் இருக்குது. இந்த மழைனால எங்கிட்ட போகிறதுக்கு வரல. பிள்ளைகளை வச்சுக்கிட்டு இருக்க ஒழுங்கான இடங்கள் இல்லை. இனி இந்த வீட்டுங்களுக்கு நாங்கள் காசு கட்டணும் 1,20,000 ரூபா. அது கூட எங்களுக்கு கட்ட முடியாமல் நாங்கள் இருக்கிறோம். இந்த வீடுல இப்படி இருக்கிறதுண்டா மழை வந்தால் இந்த செவுத்தாலையெல்லாம் உள்ளுக்கு தண்ணி வருது. எல்லாம் நோமலாக தான் கட்டி தந்திருக்காங்க. உடையுது. இந்த ஜன்னல் கதவெல்லாம் உடஞ்சி தான் இருக்குது. நீங்கள் கரண்ட் இல்லை. இப்படி வெள்ளாம வெட்டினா யானை பிரச்சனை. நீ அதால எங்களுக்கு ஒன்றுமே செய்யறதுக்கு வழி இல்லை. அவங்களுக்கு கடவுளால அவங்களுக்கு அருள் இருந்தா எங்களுக்கு அந்த உதவியை செய்யதானே.
She shared her story during the Gum at the Door-to-Door program in the Sirivallipuram village of Tirukkovil, Ampara. Her story reflects the struggles of 25 families living in this village. Although the government built houses for them in 2015, the poor construction quality is evident. On rainy days, water leaks inside the houses and there is no electricity. Despite these conditions, the residents have to pay 5,000 rupees monthly rent to the government.
Gum at the Door-to-Door. Sri Lanka's Justice Minister, Attorney at Law Harshana Nanayakkara has announced that a cabinet paper is being prepared to form a committee aimed at abolishing the Prevention of Terrorism Act, also known as the PTA.
And I think on the last occasion it was raised, I assured you that a cabinet paper will be put on for the formulation of a committee and to abolish the PTA. And now that cabinet paper is being prepared. Hopefully in the next parliament session, when it's next, I'll be able to confirm with you that the cabinet approval has been given for the abolition of the PTA and to bring in an ATA which conforms to international standards.
Fitch Ratings has upgraded the national long-term ratings of 10 Sri Lankan banks.
Fitch Ratings has upgraded the national long-term ratings of 10 Sri Lankan banks following the recent sovereign upgrade and recalibration of the agency's Sri Lankan national rating scale. At the same time, Fitch has affirmed the national long-term ratings of 5 Sri Lankan banks. The recalibration reflects changes in the relative creditworthiness of Sri Lankan issues after Fitch upgraded Sri Lanka's long-term local currency issuer default rating (OIDR) to CCC Plus from CCC minus on the 20th of December 2024. Fitch typically does not assign outlooks to sovereigns with a rating of CCC Plus or below.
The World Bank reaffirmed its support for Sri Lanka with plans to finance 3 key projects over the next 3 months, totaling $200 million.
World Bank Vice President for South Asia Martin Reza concluded a 2-day visit to Sri Lanka today. Key areas of focus during the visit included the government's commitment to poverty reduction, digital development and the Clean Sri Lanka initiative. The World Bank reaffirmed its support in these areas with plans to finance 3 key projects over the next 3 months, totaling to $200 million. These projects will support rural development and education and will establish a facility to attract private investment in renewable energy. During his visit, he met with President Anil Kumara Dissanayake, Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya and other government officials, private investors and development partners to discuss the country's ongoing efforts towards economic recovery and long-term growth. Reza and the Sri Lankan authorities also discussed priorities for World Bank support over the medium term, including enhancing the tourism sector, supporting the development of lagging regions, especially in the north, promoting the logistics sector as a driver of growth, improving service delivery, and ensuring the workforce is equipped with the skills required by a rapidly evolving labour market.
Advoca Institute hosted Ignite Growth Pathways to Sustainable Economic Growth in Colombo today. Ignite Growth focuses on driving sustainable growth and long-term stability in Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka's first Ignite Growth Economic Conference brought together a panel of international and local experts who have successfully guided nations from recovery to sustainable economic growth.
There is a misunderstanding after this crisis about what the government should do. Unequivocally, I will say we need government. We need government. So in a market economy which we aspire towards, it cannot function without the rule of law, regulation, infrastructure, security and defense. That is given. So it has to provide what are called public goods. These are goods that economists call non-rival and non-excludable. The private sector cannot pay for these public goods. Now, not all goods and services that are public goods need to be produced by the state. You can have the provision of public goods produced privately but paid for by government. A civilized society requires everyone to have equal opportunity, not equal results. This is famously said by Lee Kuan Yew. Redistributive spending on education and health, a minimum must be paid for the government through the tax system, and a basic income for those right at the bottom, which we have now called Aswasuma. Now there is something called the RAN curve. So there is an optimum size of government. Of course, this is a theoretical framework. And you can enhance economic growth by basically expanding the size of government up to a particular point. Beyond a particular point, it is negative towards growth, because what happens is that you've got to finance this through taxation, and taxation introduces what is called a deadweight loss on the economy. So the gains from those revenues in having government exceed the deadweight loss, but beyond a particular point, it is counterintuitive.
This two-day event tackles key challenges, explores opportunities for inclusive prosperity, promoting policy innovation aligned with global sustainability goals.
Japanese ambassador to Sri Lanka, Akio Izumata, visited Batiklo today.
Japanese ambassador to Sri Lanka, Akio Izumata, visited the Mira Grand Juma Masjid, where he paid tribute to the site of the tragic 1990 massacre that took place at the mosque. The ambassador also visited the Methai Grand Juma Mosque in Kathankudi, where a memento was exchanged between the management of the masjid and the ambassador.
I arrived in Sri Lanka about 3 months ago. I made a point that I have to come to Eastern Province to really understand about this country. I really wanted to come to this place, Batiklo, mainly to meet Muslim people, to better understand the situation here. For any country, for any society to develop on its own, unity and harmony is extremely important. My mission here as ambassador of Japan in Sri Lanka is try to be of assistance the national unity process of this country. And most recently, Embassy of Japan is partnering with other ambassadors and High Commissioner. Especially, this is the starting point, but this is very difficult.
The ambassador later visited the Jamiatul Falah Arabic College in Kathankudi, where he observed the ongoing activities and was briefed on the institution's operations. He also visited the Manmunai Bridge, which was built with the aid of Japan as a token of friendship and cooperation. He also visited the Dutch Fort and the Zion Church in Batiklo.
12th Ruhuna International Science and Technology Conference was held today.
12th Ruhuna International Science and Technology Conference was held at the Faculty of Science, University of Ruhuna.
To build the country, we need science and technology. We need innovation, we need engineering, and clearly all societal challenges that are in front of us, including the country's economy for that matter, all depends on science and technology. So, of course, when you work for your country, you work for the world.
RISTCon 2025 was attended by leading academics, researchers and research students.
Veteran Sri Lankan singer Anil Bharati passed away this morning at the age of 75. He died while receiving treatment at the Panathura hospital.
Anil Bharati, a former student of Prince of Wales College, Moratuwa, began his music career in the early 1970s as the English vocalist for the well-known musical group Golden Chimes, led by Clarence Wijewardhana. He is best remembered for his iconic songs such as Bethlehempure, Dilindu Gavalene, Tikiri Mali, Seethala Sanda Eliye, Adave Irudina, and Rosi Mage Rosi, which captured the hearts of many across Sri Lanka during the 1970s and 1980s. Anil Bharati's contribution to the Sri Lankan music scene remains unforgettable, and his songs continue to be cherished by fans. He will be remembered for his distinct voice and his lasting impact on Sri Lankan music.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer hosted a Thai Pongal celebration on the 20th of January 2025, marking the first such event under his leadership.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer hosted a vibrant Thai Pongal celebration at 10 Downing Street, marking the first such event under his leadership. The event, attended by prominent members of the British Tamil community, MPs, the Indian High Commissioner and other dignitaries, highlighted the UK government's commitment to recognising and celebrating Tamil cultural heritage. The residence was decorated with traditional items like sugarcane, banana leaves and a kolam design. The evening featured the preparation of pongal, a sweet rice dish, along with Tamil music and dance. In his speech, Prime Minister Starmer praised the Tamil community's contributions to British society, emphasising values of gratitude, resilience and community. He also reaffirmed the government's commitment to human rights and justice for Tamils, particularly in Sri Lanka.
Six more matches of the Women's Under-19 T20 World Cup took place in Malaysia today.
New Zealand sealed a 67-run win with a clinical bowling display that had Samoa all out for 40 in just under 15 overs. Chasing a target of 108, Samoa were bowled out for a cheap total of 40 runs. Rishika Jaswal and Tash Wakelin picked up 3 wickets each. England topped Group B with an impressive batting performance against the United States, successfully chasing down 120 in 14.2 overs. Bangladesh managed 121 for 9 from their 20 overs, batting first against Scotland and ended up winning by 18 runs. Chasing a target of 122 runs, Scotland were restricted for just 103 for the loss of 8 wickets. Meanwhile, Australia beat Nepal by 83 runs. Chasing a target of 138 runs, Nepal were restricted to 56 for the loss of 8 wickets at the end of 20 overs. Ireland beat Pakistan by 13 runs on Duckworth-Lewis turn method. The final match for the day was held between South Africa and Nigeria. South Africa beat Nigeria by 41 runs on the Duckworth-Lewis turn method. All the action of the ICC Women's Under-19 T20 World Cup can be watched live on TV1 and www.sirasatv.lk.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight.
Thank you for watching. Good night.